we welcome in Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A., you and I are texting back and forth throughout this game. And I know Steph went to that ring early, right? And then he gave him the night-night. And you didn't hate it, and I didn't either. But I feel that we've seen a more outwardly demonstrative Steph throughout these playoffs, like a different version of him. I just wonder what you made of that.
Well, what I made of it, Scott, is that he's arrived and he's known it. I mean, he's a three-time champion, but the first go-round, you go up against LeBron, there's no Kyrie, there's no Kevin Love, and you're a young pup. Right. You lose the next year. Then after that, you get KD, who I consider to be, when healthy, the greatest player in the world. And you went back-to-back championships, and you would have three-peated had he not gotten injured and Klay Thompson had not gone down in the third quarter of that game when he had 30 in that closeout Game 6 against Toronto, as far as I'm concerned. This particular year, this particular postseason, it was clearly Steph's team, not just in terms of affection, and a love affair that he has with the Warriors and the Bay Area audience, but the fact that he was clearly the best player on this team and was playing like it. And then when the finals arrived, he just took it to another level. He walked into Game 5 of this series, averaging 34 on 50% shooting from the field and 49% shooting from three-point range, with numerous daggers that he had distributed throughout the postseason. So I just think that you see a guy 34 years of age in the league all of these years, a three-time champion at the time, two-time league MVP, and he was putting his stamp on these playoffs, letting everybody know he's the best shooter in the world, he's one of the best players in the world, and he's about to be a champion again. And you just saw it in his eyes throughout this postseason, and he finished the goods tonight.
And Stephen A., we know how the world works, right? The chatter is hard to escape, and it can bleed into your life if you let it. And we heard Steph in the locker room screaming, what are they going to say now, right? Stephen saying, what are they going to say now? So with the MVP now on the trophy case, the one thing that was lacking, what are they going to say now about Curry?
Well, I think first of all, you could have called him one of the greatest players this game has ever seen before this finals appearance. But at the end of the day, it cemented it. Let's understand this. This is the greatest shooter God has ever created. We have never seen a shooter the likes of Steph Curry in the history of the game of basketball. We know about the ball handling skills, but then he bulked up a little bit. You could see some definition in his body. He wasn't afraid or reluctant to go to the hole. He did that with ease throughout this season and did it 4 times in the fourth quarter tonight when he was called upon to do so because bigger and taller dudes were contesting him outside at the three-point line. He's just an individual that on the offensive side of the ball is capable of doing whatever it takes. You literally have to guard him the second he steps past half court. And as a result, that forces defenses to extend. It opens up lanes for his teammates throughout the court, and that makes it hell for opposing defenses. And then on the defensive side of the ball, tonight he's guarding dudes, and they shot like 3 for 12 against them with 6 turnovers. And so when you look at it from that perspective, they couldn't even exploit him defensively because the once defensive deficiency that he glaringly exhibited that forced Steve Kerr to try and hide him, he didn't have to do it this series, and he didn't even try. And so when you take all of those things into consideration, you got to look at him as arguably a top 10 player in the history of basketball. He's just that lethal. He's just that impactful.
Look, we agree he's the greatest shooter God ever lived, but Stephen A., I've never seen him in a suit, in a proper suit, hitting jumpers. We've seen the video of you, so until he's able to bury jumpers in a beautiful suit, I don't know. You're right there. You're right there on point with him, Stephen A. I appreciate your time. I know it's late and you've been up all day. This means we're done talking during the finals, but I enjoy it as always, and I appreciate you making time for me here on the show. All right.
I appreciate it, but just for the record, you can strip 30 years, you can add 30 years back into my life, make me 30 years younger, bulk me up about 50 pounds or whatever, and give me a game, and I still could have shined Steph Curry's shoes. I know my place, my brother.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.